Hey, Sari.
Hey, Beatrijs.
Hi, hi.
Well, we get to give a program on supervision together from June onwards.
Yes, we
Yay!
do.
And we're recording a couple of podcasts just to get people in the mood for this program.
Yeah, so that they can get to know us and a little bit about our thoughts and the program that we're providing.
Yeah, the program is really for any kind of supervisor, but specifically it's also for educators, coaches, consultants, leaders. So anyone who works with people, really. And we're going to talk about why is supervision important and what is it really for us?
Yeah.
So maybe you want to start. Why is supervision important for you?
Oh, maybe the most the immediate answer that I have is that it's important because I really love to do it. So there's something, and we talked about that earlier, about magic that you have when you work in supervision, in the supervisory realm. I really, really think that it's a beautiful way of zooming in and really looking at some of the key aspects that people are considering or working with. Um, and it's beautiful to have a relationship with somebody that you can say this is my supervisor or I'm supervising this person, and the way that you then work is really I don't know, is the beauty, I think, of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I've always had a supervisor really, and during my practice, so from a very young age. I think if you do more Anglo-Saxon training, it's much more usual to have a supervisor than it used to be in Holland, at least amongst coaches. But for me, it's been so important to have someone behind me while I work with somebody else who can look over my shoulder, as it were, to look, are you working in a safe way? How are you in that, especially in that transferential relationship, when it gets sticky, it's so good to just say to someone, what's going on here? Help me look at this. Uh,
Yeah,
and that a supervisor is on your side and will help you develop
yeah,
yourself and your profession. It's a beautiful thing.
yeah. Makes me think of my first supervisor. That one of the first questions I got, I think I was what, 22, 23, working as a therapist, and that she asked me, why do you think it works what you do? And
Oh,
I was quite insecure about myself. And I thought, oh my God, it really does work. I know that. And it was such a profound question to get me going and being more grounded in the work that I did with clients.
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I never forget that. It was a good relationship and it was a brilliant question for that moment.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and well, we could talk about this for a long time because we've both had many different supervisors.
Yes, we did.
But I guess the first question is, what is supervision?
Yeah,
And there's a lot of different definitions out there,
yeah,
really depending on your perspective or your background.
yeah,
What's your
yeah, it does.
definition?
Well, I kind of like what some people in the Netherlands are saying in a big book, in a book that's called Supervision Multi-Perspects, something more
Perspectives?
more perspectives. Thank you. And they say that the answer of what supervision is actually depends on the context that the supervision is given in. And because I'm a supervisor with very people in very, very different contexts, I really like that definition. So my working with a group of foster parents, with what I do as a supervisor is mainly looking at how do you work with the children in daily life? What does it mean for yourself? Which is quite different from working with people in education, where it's really also about what is education really. and how do I show up as educator in my classroom or in the relationships that I have,
Yeah.
which is then a different definition of what we are doing. I know that you have more feeling with that solid definition, so I'll be happy to hear them from you. But I like what these people say is that supervision is more
Good.
about
Yeah.
what does a supervisor do
Yeah.
as a core question.
Yeah. Yes.
Who is the
But
supervisor?
yes, I do like definitions, but as you were speaking, I was thinking, really, there's three things that come back for me every time in what is supervision. One is personal development, because there are things that keep coming back. In TA, we'd say it's script related issues or themes that keep coming back also in the work with your clients. And
Yeah.
it's really good to have someone say, hey, we've done this
Yeah.
before. There's
Yes, I know. I love that from longer periods working
Yeah.
with people that you can say, you've said it like 2 years ago, I heard you talk about this, and now I hear that back. Yeah.
So it's something about personal development. It's something about obviously professional development. So just developing skills and methods. Um, and it's also for me what's really helpful and in the definition of supervision as well is looking at the relationship. So these
Mm,
patterns of
yeah.
relationship that you repeat with your supervisor, that the client repeats with you, that's those three are always in focus for me, no
Mm,
matter what the context.
I love that.
Yeah, but we do have, I think you are very related to the LVSA. I'm an EMCC person, and within EMCC, we really have a very specific definition of supervision. So um, we say it's a safe space, which I think we can all agree on. It should be a safe space
Yeah.
where you have reflective dialogue, which supports the supervisee's practice, development, and well-being. I like the well-being as well.
Yeah. I do too. I
Yeah.
agree. Yes.
And what's become more and more important within EMCC is this reflective dialogue. So it's not so much about what you do, it's about do you have the ability to think about what you do and to reflect on what's happening with you in relation to your client. Yeah.
So just to add that I like to work with the double integration triangle, and we're going to talk about that more in the course that we have. But that there is the person that works within the organization, but also has a particular profession. So that's one triangle that is part of what supervision is. But that person has actually got, and we work with that in TA, got three options in thinking, feeling, and action. So that if you have that as a basic triangle and you have the other triangle like that, it's called the double integration triangle. But it's a beautiful way to navigate what we just saw in the IMCC
Yeah. Yeah.
things about supervision. Yeah.
Yeah, and in all supervision, I guess reflective practice is
Yeah.
really important. So, how can you reflect? And there are different variations of that. We used to have reflection after action, reflection
In
in
action.
action, um, and I guess the more mature you get in your profession, the more you can reflect while you're in the action with the client.
Yeah.
And supervision really trains you on how to do that.
Yeah. So in the Netherlands, it's very common to work with supervision notes, to send in notes between sessions.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because I have a love-hate relationship with that way of working. Because when you do that with clients, it's a beautiful way to bridge several supervisions and to have really that arc of supervision. But some people are just not that eloquently vocal, but are more, I don't know, imaginary thinkers, or they need pictures. So there are different ways to connect that reflection in the supervision setting, but also between supervision sessions. Um, and you can ask, like, do you want to make a report after a series of supervisions? or how do you navigate that? A learning journal, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, the reflection at its highest, which I hope, but you learn that over time, is when you really integrate four narratives. So one narrative is about your client work, what's happening with your client. The other narrative is what's happening with you. And then there's a narrative, how do you link that to theory? And then there's a narrative around, and what does that mean for next time, really? So the forward action. Um, I, at the beginning, I often see that my students write a lot about the client and much less about themselves. So that takes supervision to really learn to look at the client, yourself, the relationship at the same time. And I think that's really the function of supervision for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very well.
Great. So during the program, we will be talking much more about reflection models
Yes,
and how to do that. We'll be practicing reflection
yes.
uh,
Written reflection, oral reflection.
in cascade supervision in
Yeah.
all kinds of forms. So you're very welcome to join us in June for our supervision program.